So let's make our way over to meet in a comfortable seated place on the mat. And you might have a blanket tucked in underneath you. And you might be taking a little shrug or roll as you settle into that spot. And starting to notice your breath. And noticing today where your attention goes. Is your mind busy? You're thinking about, okay, I gotta remember to do this and this after yoga. Or is there a body part that's a little achy that your attention goes to? Just notice what you're noticing. And our theme or our goal for today's class is just to let go of extra stress that we don't need to hang on to. So as you sit here, you might notice, are there places where you are holding tension? Does it feel like the back has a little extra tension? Maybe give it a little movement. Or see if the shoulders could use a shrug if they feel tense. Noticing where you might have something that could be let go of. And then we'll start to add a little bit of movement that will link with our breath to help maximize that letting go of stress and balancing out the nervous system. So we'll start by inhaling the shoulders up toward the ears. And exhale, sliding them down, and inhale, they lift. And exhale, as you slide them down, think about seeing if they could tuck down just another millimeter lower than they normally do. One more, inhale them up. Exhale, tuck the shoulders down the back. And then let the palms float up, elbows near the ribs. Inhale, open the thumbs back behind. Exhale, a little crisscross. Elbows try to stay by the ribs as best as they can. Exhale to crisscross. One more like this. Inhale, they open. Exhale, they crisscross. And then inhale, scoop the arms up tall. Exhale, float them down to the side. Inhale, sweeping the arms forward and up. Exhale, floating them down. One more like that. Exhale them down. And as they come down this time, let the arms pause and just notice how the shoulders feel. After the motion, it might help them to settle if they were feeling tense. Notice if your breath can move toward your belly. That tends to be calming for the nervous system too. And then we'll find a little motion for the spine. Starting off today with a gentle twist. So we'll draw the spine tall, lengthening up through the crown of the head. And as you exhale, find a gentle twist toward the side. Inhale it back towards center. Exhale, find that gentle twist. And this twist, we might pause in for a breath, seeing if we could lengthen up a little taller through the spine. Inhale towards center. Exhale, one more twist this way. Again, pausing to draw the spine tall. And if it's comfortable, you might explore taking that front arm and reaching it toward the back of the neck. You could float the bottom hand up to find some cow face arms there if it's comfy. Then gently release. Hands down with the exhale. Inhale, we'll bring the twist back to center. See if anything needs a wiggle after that. And then as you inhale, draw the spine tall. Use the exhale to find a gentle twist. Inhale it back towards center. Exhale, find that gentle twist that will pause in for a breath. Seeing if you could press up through the top of the head. Watch out for the chin though. Try to keep the chin parallel to the mat. Inhale back towards center. One more twist this way. We exhale into it. And then we might just hold, or we could float that front arm reaching toward the back of the neck. And we can stay there, or we could try floating the backhand if it's comfy for cow face pose arms. And then when you exhale, release the arms. As you inhale, release the twist. Take a moment to shrug, to shift, to settle. Noticing your breath. And noticing what you notice. Did your attention go back to the thing when we first started class? Or does your attention notice how your back feels after the twist? And then we'll find our side bending shapes. So starting off just by walking the fingertips over. And then your choice today, you can tuck the other arm behind, or we can reach it up and over. And take an inhale back to center. And exhale to the side, and to help make sure we're keeping that the side we bend too long too, you might try just floating that hand, seeing if you can keep a little length there. Inhale it back to center. One more side, then exhale over. Your choice, hand can come down. You might float just to make sure we're not collapsing into the side. And if your shoulders are happy and healthy, circle that top arm around, behind, down and up. And just be kind. That's a big motion for the shoulders. So if it feels pinchy, we can make it smaller. One more circle if you'd like. And then as the arm draws back long, we'll lengthen the spine. And inhale it tall. And settle to center. See if shoulders or back need a wiggle. And moving to side two. Maybe tucking the hand behind us at first, or reaching if it's comfy. Use an inhale to take it up to center. Use the exhale to find your side bend. This time, maybe floating the bottom arm. Inhale to center. One more side bend, exhale up and over. And you choose, you can stay put, or if it's comfy on the shoulder, try circling the arm back and around, almost letting the arm unfold. Drawing a big circle if it's comfy. Staying grounded through both hips, especially that right hip. And the next time the arm circles up overhead, you might take a moment to find a little length. And then inhale it tall. Exhale, settle the hands back behind you. Take a moment to lift the collarbones up. You can look up or let chin find the chest. And then as you exhale, hinge from the hips. Take a little seated forward fold. You might fold just a few inches, or if it's comfy to sink down, go right ahead. Noticing if your breath can move toward your back. As you inhale, draw it up. Give the shoulders a shrug, give the back a wiggle, and switch the foot that's in front. Fingertips go back. Inhale, lift the ribs, the collarbones up. Maybe chin tucks and finds the chest. And then as you exhale, use the fingertips to help you hinge and fold forward. Maybe it's just an inch or two, or maybe we settle down in a seated forward bend. Breathing toward the low back. That's another good way to calm the nervous system. And inhale back up toward that seat. Take a shift, take a little pause. Now, sometimes when we're dealing with a lot of stress, it can feel like we really need to be busy, to be moving, to go, go, go. And that is sometimes helpful to move and move through some of that extra energy. But taking the time to pause, to center yourself, to tune in, that can help give us our full capacity to respond to the things that we're facing. So notice your breath here. Noticing where you're grounded down to your mat and where you can lift tall from the crown of the head. And if you want to stay seated a while longer, you're welcome to stay seated for cat-cow, where we'll exhale to round and inhale to arch, or we can make our way to all fours. This is a good spot to use your blanket, if you have one handy, just to give the knees a little extra comfort. That's again soothing for the nervous system. We'll exhale, rounding up for cat. Inhale, gentle arch for cow. And take your time with these shapes. And depending on how you're feeling, if your mind's been really busy, notice your hands and your knees. See if you can connect all 4 points of your palms to the mat. Really notice where you're connected to the mat if your mind's felt busy. If you felt sluggish and tired, notice the motion in the back. And can you imagine your spine being like a wave in the ocean, rounding and flowing? And then yogi's choice, you might stay with cat-cow a little longer. This is a great one, again, for balancing out the nervous system. Or you might settle the hips back for child pose if it feels good to rest and ground. If you're craving more motion, you are welcome to move into the 3 vinyasa flows. For today, you might start off with just the top part of the vinyasa. Our down dog on the exhale to our plank on the inhale. Exhale back. Inhale forward. Yogi's choice. Take your time, no rush, no hurry. Flow, rest. Choose what feels best for you today. And then with no rush, no hurry, we'll make our way back to meet in child pose or in puppy stretch. Noticing if we can breathe toward the low back. If child pose doesn't feel good for any reason, leaving the hips higher for puppy stretch is just fine. And just attempting to draw our breath toward the low back. When you find the next inhale, lifting the head, sliding the shoulders forward to come down to meet on the belly. And as we meet here, you might take a moment to bend the knees and rock the heels if that feels good. This is a great way to relieve stress in the low back. And if you're not super comfy laying on the belly, it's okay to find a different shape. Sometimes tucking your blanket in under the hips and the pelvis can be helpful there too. And then your choice. You can stay put, just rocking. Or we have a little movement we can take that's a variation on locust. It's similar to our stargazer pose. We'll walk the hands forward and walk the toes back so that we're very long here. And then as you inhale, float right arm and left leg up. Exhale, sink them down. Inhale, float left arm, right leg up. Exhale, sink them down. This is an alternating half locust. And it's okay to keep your head on the mat if you need to. You can lift the head, but try to tuck the chin toward, pointing at the mat or a little toward the chest so that the neck, back of the neck is long. Then we can stay here, we can come down and rest. Or we can add on to this and take our lift. And then we'll bend the knee, reaching the arm back toward the foot. Reach it up, lower it. We inhale, lifts. We exhale, sees if things connect. We inhale, reaches. The exhale brings it down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, maybe connect. Inhale, reach. Exhale, down. One more like that. Inhale, up. Exhale, maybe connect. Inhale, reach. Exhale, down and take a rest. Arms in any comfy shape. Knees bend, we rock the heels. Settling in. And then yogi's choice. You can hug one heel in and just stay here. Or we might explore reaching this hand on the same side back, and then reaching the hand on the opposite side back. Reaching one hand back, and then the other. Now your choice, you can stay put there, or play with connecting the hand on the same side. The opposite elbow might tuck in underneath, helping you find a half bow pose. We can press foot into hand, hand into foot. Breathing when you're here. Exhale, release it down either to the belly or to a Sphinx pose. Think of lengthening the collarbone, shining the heart forward. And then soften to the belly. Side two, tucking heel toward the hip, we can stay put right there. Or we might take the arm on the same side back to connect. And we can stay put there. Or tuck the opposite elbow in under the shoulder. We can stay put, or we might press hand into foot, foot into hand. In a little half bow pose. When you exhale, release the foot. Meeting in one more Sphinx, shine the collarbones forward. And the legs are still active here. And then exhale, settle it to the mat. Bend the knees, give the heels a little rock. Notice where your attention is now. So these shapes may feel really different on the back. They help bring in more spinal extension. And that can be a relief for our back muscles if we've been sitting a lot or doing a lot of work in front of us. Then walk the toes back, one and then the other. Just like they were trying to walk off the end of your mat. And that helps lengthen the psoas muscle and gives us space in the front of the hip. And that can help us with our posture. And taking one more little breath on the mat. And then tucking fingertips in by the ribs. As you inhale, curl the head and shoulders up. Next inhale, press and shift, lift the hips back to the heels. Find child pose. Yogi's choice. Stay put here, breathing into the low back. Or we might take a moment to walk the hands over to one side. And then settle the hips away from the hands. Inhale them back towards center. Exhale them towards side two. Settle the hips away from the hands. Inhale back to center. Exhale, yogi's choice. Stay and rest, especially if you need a gentle practice today. You might find a gentle flow like cat-cow, or you can find your 3 vinyasa flows if you'd like. Taking down dog on the exhale. Inhale to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, down dog. And take your time and decide if it feels better to flow, to rest, or if there's something else that you might need. Use this time to address that need and practice a little self-care too. Sometimes when we're stressed, our self-care takes a back seat. But it's actually the most important time to keep those self-care practices going. So no rush, no hurry. Take your time if you're still mid-flow. There's no rush to get back. But when we do, we'll make our way back to meet on all fours and maybe using that blanket and underneath. So being kind to the body. We'll think about drawing the belly button in toward the spine. Maybe think of lifting the pelvic floor toward the ribs. And explore pressing the right heel back. Let's see what happens if you float the left hand. And then if you bring the left hand down, see what would happen if you float the right hand. Finding same side sun dog. And then we'll bring the hand down, bend the knee, take the heel to the hip, stack the hip, opening the hips toward the right. And then we might start to open the right arm up for a little half move. We have options here. We can press that leg out long, or if we're still bending, we might reach back and see if we can connect to the ankle, taking a little bind in our half move. Can you breathe when you're here? And then when you're ready, gently release the foot. We'll see if we can float the foot down to the mat. And then we're gonna spin these toes out behind us like a kickstand. So lift ourselves up for a gate pose, Parigasana. And I'm gonna just switch sides so that I'll be your mirror here. So depending on how things feel, we might just stay put, finding length, or with the toes pointed out toward the right, we can reach this up and over. And you might find a flow here, inhaling up, exhaling up and over. If you have a block handy, that might be where you're resting your right hand, is on your block, either inside or outside of the leg. You can hold if that feels best. And then when you're ready, inhale it back up. Exhale, now float your left hand to the mat. We'll be finding a little side plank shape. You can stay put here. You might float the foot for a little more half moon fun. Or if you want to challenge your core, press into the hand. Can you float that bottom knee up? Can you breathe? And then when you're ready, we can find the mat. Use an inhale, find that start of gate pose. Spin the toes forward or to the long edge of the mat if they're not already. Exhale, hinge from the hip. Let's find a puppy stretch shape here with that leg long. So the thought with these shapes is that they bring weight to the inner seam of the leg. And that's said to be the place where the liver and the kidney and the spleen meridian run. And when we're under stress, those are great places to give a little extra attention to. And when you inhale, start to walk the hands back up. We'll get ready to make our way back to all fours. Now, your choice. You might do this by walking your hands up back toward your left, spinning that left foot in line and floating that right heel up one more time. And then we can settle down toward all fours. As you find all fours, see if it feels best to rest, or if a cat-cow flow might be good for the back. No rush, no hurry. And then when you're ready, when things feel like they're balanced, we'll meet just to give the wrists a little attention before we go to side two. Maybe turning the back of the palm down, fingertips point toward one knee and the other. And then we might try that with fingertips pointing out to the side, palm up. And just gently shifting a little weight toward that side. And then the other, fingers turn out, palm turns up. And then we'll press that left heel back behind us. Load the right arm up. Maybe we try floating the left arm up for that same side sun. And then bring the left hand to the mat. And we'll explore opening that left hip up. Maybe we start to float the left arm up too. We can take the heel to the hip, or we can anchor it back, finding a little bind in our half of half move, or a little length if that feels better. And then when you're ready, we'll settle that left foot to the mat, lifting up for our gate pose. And I'm gonna just switch my legs so I look like your mirror for this part. So as you exhale, we might come up and over toward the left. We can flow, inhaling top and exhaling up and over. If we have a block handy, we might go to the block and just hold and breathe. The block can go either behind or in front of the leg. Your choice on where things feel the most stable. When you're ready, use the inhale to lift it back up, and then float that right hand to the mat. We'll take a little side plank here. And we might play with floating the heel. You might play with our little half moon shapes. Or we might make this a side plank with a little challenge, pressing into the foot, seeing if we can float that right knee up. No rush, no hurry. When you're ready, make sure the toes are turned to the long edge of the mat. And we can either walk the hands forward to stay more grounded, or we can lift. And then hinge from the hips to hold for that puppy stretch with a long leg out to the side. Can you breathe when you're here? When you're ready, inhale, gently walking the hands back up. And then to make our way to all fours, you might walk the hands over toward the right, letting that right foot come back, shin parallel with the mat. Floating that left heel up, and then making your way to meet on all fours. Yogi's choice. We might find child pose. We might take our 3 vinyasa flows. Or if there's another shape that your body is craving today, take the time to go and practice there now. And as you do, take a moment to notice your breath. And just kind of notice the state of your internal environment. When we're stressed, Sometimes a funky flow like we just did can be a good distraction from the other things our brain has been thinking or stressing about. Sometimes it adds just more boggle into what's going on. So just notice how things feel for you. Take your time, no rush, hurry. And then when you're ready, we'll start to make our way back to meet on all fours. Maybe giving the wrists a little more attention. We might turn the fingers out to the side, palm down, and shift the weight a little left and right. Being kind to the wrist, not trying to push it any further than feels comfy. And then if it's comfortable, we might leave the palm down, but try turning the fingers back to point toward one foot. Just doing this one hand at a time. And then maybe trying that on side two. And then as we meet back in center, see if the wrists need any other motion. Check in with the neck. See if it needs any motion. And then we'll press that right heel back once more. This time, exhale, knee to nose, foot between the palms. Inhale, sweep and lift for a kneeling lunge. Exhale, settle hands to the heart. Yogi's choice, you can stay put right here and just hold. Or you can toe heel that right foot in line with the left knee and the left foot, like you were on a balance beam. As you can see, that might make things a little more wiggly. That helps us challenge our deep core muscles. So breathing when you're there. No rush, no hurry. When you're ready, use an exhale to fold and frame the right foot. And we'll try walking that right foot over and walking the right hand inside the right foot. This sets us up for a lizard lunge. And it's your choice. If you have a block, you might use the block to see if the elbows could settle a little lower too. You could float the back knee if that feels good. Breathing as you settle into the shape. You can play with floating the back heel if you like. I know you might have plenty here already. But if the back heel floats and you're curious, you might take the opposite arm back just to see if things can connect. And take your time here in lizard. And when you're ready, use an inhale to press back up to the palms. And we're going to try a stretch they sometimes call a dragon stretch. So I'll flip around so you can see this better too. You're going to walk your hands away from the right foot, like you're walking over to your left. And you'll try to let that right knee stay like it's reaching to the right. So your hands and your knee are moving in opposite directions. So can you breathe there? And then slowly walk it back in toward center. Now we can frame that right foot. Inhale it up for one more kneeling lunge. Exhale, settle hands to the heart to hold. Or give the shoulders a little more by clasping the hands behind the back. Or even taking a reverse prayer, letting the hands come toward each other behind the back. Can you breathe when you're here? As you exhale, release the hands, hinge from the hip, fold to frame the foot, slide or step back to all fours or high plank. One breath there. Exhale, shift and lift, downward facing dog. Pedal in, bend one knee and the other. A short yogi's choice, a quick rest, one vinyasa flow, or time for a quick moment to address any needs. And then when you're ready, when you finish that flow or finish that pose, we'll meet back on all fours. Now take a pause here. Notice your breath. Notice if your brain started doing side two. And then just let all your attention be right here, right now. Noticing the hands on the mat, the breath flowing into the body. When you find that next inhale, float the left heel up. As you exhale, take left knee to nose, foot between the palms. Inhale, lift for kneeling lunge. Exhale, hands to heart. Yogi's choice to stay here. Or maybe we toe heel that front foot over in line with the right knee, the back knee. And that might make it wobbly. We call this a reactionary core exercise. It helps us strengthen those deep core muscles without having to do anything like a crunch. So the wobbles are really a good thing, though they can be hard to embrace. If you do have a block or a wall, it is okay to rest a hand on the wall or a block too to help you here. And then no rush, no hurry. As we exhale, we'll fold to frame the foot. And then toe heel that left foot over, now walking it wide to the left side of the mat. The hands settle down inside the foot for lizard, which might look like this. You might take a block to settle the elbows toward. You could come to the mat as well. You could float the back knee if that feels good. Or even walk the back knee back for a little more space. And again, you can just hold and rest where it's comfy. Or you can try bending the back knee. You might see if the opposite arm could reach back and connect. And you breathe. Release the foot if you are holding. When you find the inhale, press to the palms. And then try walking the hands over to the right, finding this little dragon pose. Tipping the left knee away if you can. Breathing here. So these shapes again are supporting the liver, kidney, and spleen meridians. Breathing. And then walking the hands back around. This time framing that left foot, maybe walking the left foot back in a little. Inhale, draw it up for kneeling lunge. Exhale, hands to the heart. Or if it's comfy, you might have hands behind the back. Or try those reverse prayer hands, bringing palms together behind them. And can you breathe while you hold the shape? And then gently release the hands when you're ready. You might inhale them tall. And exhale to fold. Frame the foot. Slide or step back. All fours or high plank. Taking a breath. Exhale, shift and lift hips. Downward facing dog. Yogi's choice. Settle down for child pose. Time it up for 3 vinyasa flows. Or time for any other movement your body needs. Breath stays deep and in motion. Whether you're resting or flowing. No rush. Maybe noticing again how things feel. Does it feel like you're moving with extra tension? Or does it feel like you're able to just rest in your pose or go with your flow? And then we'll start to find our way back. Don't rush. Again, making your way toward child pose. Breathe in toward the low back. As if your breath was giving the low back a massage from the inside. As you inhale, gently making your way up towards seated. Now as we start to make our way toward restorative, we have a couple different options here. So legs and hips got some good attention, the shoulders got a little bit, but we might choose to draw a little more length to the front of the arm. The thought is that the lung and the heart meridians run down the arm, and those are good places to give support to when we're stressed as well. So one option you might choose if you have your blanket nearby is this gentle heart opening shape where we can make a long line with our blanket. And if you can see the moss and things on my blanket, you can tell I've used this for outdoor yoga recently. We might tuck the blanket in by the edge of the hips, settling the spine onto the blanket. And then there's hopefully enough blanket to either tuck in under the neck for a little neck support, or you can even fold more in for a pillow if that feels good for you. And then the arms can open out here, maybe they make a cactus shape, or they might turn up and rest toward the hips. The lung meridian kind of does a little zigzag in the front of the shoulder, so opening that up is thought to be beneficial for the heart and the lungs, but also we tend to spend a lot of our time forward, so these shapes are helpful for maintaining good posture too. You can add more to this if you have blocks handy. You can use 2 blocks to lift this up a little more, giving space for the top of the shoulders to drop into. I really like this with a blanket on the top. So these are just options, not requirements. But if you have 2 blocks handy, you might try this shape. This is the supported fish pose. The blanket just adds a little more soothing feel to it than resting on the blocks by themselves, but you can do that too. Maybe the arms are cactus arms, or maybe they're toward the hips. Your legs can be wherever they're comfy. And if you're thinking, oh, Sam, I really need constructive rest or legs up the wall, please take your time to go there. If you don't have a prop handy, constructive rest can still be a nice, helpful shape with knees bent. You might try cactus arms to support the lungs here today. Or the classic arms are fine if those feel best. As you settle into your pose, notice your breath. Notice if your exhale can help you soften down toward your mat. Check in with your jaw and see if there's any tension there. Maybe allowing a little space between the top and bottom teeth. And check in with the eyes. As you exhale, see if the corners of the eyes could soften and smooth. Notice if you can get a little heavier with each exhale. If your restorative pose feels like heaven, it's fine to stay put just like you are. Or if you'd like to shift toward Shavasana, if you're on the blanket, you might be rolling toward one side to slide props out from underneath. And you might choose classic Shavasana with legs long, palms turned up. Or it's fine to rest again with knees bent, constructive rest arms, whatever feels good. Taking these last few minutes of practice to just be right here, right now. I'll keep an eye on the time for you. There's nowhere you have to go or get to, nothing to accomplish. Just allow yourself to be integrating the benefits from today's class. If you are able to take a long Shavasana today, feel free to do so. Or if you're ready to bring movement back, you might start to stretch out the fingers and toes. Find what's ready to bend and draw close. Or stretch and reach out. Maybe you're taking a little rock. No rush, no hurry here. But eventually, you'll make your way over to rest on one side or the other. When you find it, inhale, use that to help lift you back up towards seated. Take a pause here as you find your seat. Seeing if anything needs a little wiggle or shift to help the spine draw tall. And notice where your attention is. Notice if it's in a different place than when we started class today. And then as you inhale, sweep the fingertips up tall. We'll do something a little different here. As you exhale, turn your palms forward and float them down. So they say this is a good practice to help us inhale and gather up all the good stuff or the fresh chi. And exhale, let go of anything you no longer need. Maybe that's excess stress or tension or Consternation. One more like that. Inhale up all the good stuff. Exhale, letting go of anything that no longer serves you. And then we'll inhale them up one last time to bring the palms together. Now as you exhale, settle the hands toward the heart. Thank you all for taking and making the time to practice today. It's such a pleasure to be here with you. And namaste.